This week on 110x, allow event propagation for RemoveUrl, UnsafeUrl. Apparently there was a bug that in some cases the admin.js and the base.js could be called in different orders, and then the event for the confirmation dialog for delete buttons will not show up. So this fixes the issue. 110x, Orchard 2, Orchard core. What happened? So Nick has continued working on, Chris continued working on the dynamic cache, well, the cache liquid tag that he showed us last week. And what did he do? Debug code and also implementing it in the dynamic cache module, which handles the caching for shapes using these services for caching. And this is nothing interesting here, and this is nothing interesting, and nothing interesting. Okay, so that's it. So I assume it should be close to ready. I will check with him if we need to merge it now. Jean-Thierry is continuing his work on background tasks, and he's started the UI work, so some UI to see the background tasks running and stop them and change their settings. So let me show you what it looks like, because he shared some screenshots on Gitter. Here, this is the latest screenshot where you can list the background tasks, and you can see here. So it's there's too much information to my taste, but we will improve that. So here we can see two different background tasks: the one from Lucene, indexing background task, and OpenID background task, which is cleaning the tokens. Oh, and there is description: remove orphan tokens, update Lucene indices. We can see that it's enabled, and we can disable it. We can see that it's locked, so we can't change it. We can see that it's idle, so right now it's not running. We can see when it will be executed the next time based on the current schedule and the current time. We can see how long it takes and how many times it's been run. See, last time it was run. Lock, unlock. I have to check what it does. Reset count, reset fault. So we can see also the logs. Background service is running, and we can add definition, and we can change also if we edit the schedule. There is a default schedule with the task, but we can change them. So that's very nice. Some UI to manage the background task. That was one of the goals when we designed this feature, so that's good to see something on that. This is what Jean-Thierry is doing. This is on the dev branch. What's new? Adding a missing README file. Jean-Thierry, dynamic cache. This is a new branch I created, shelldependents. The idea being that we need to be, so Kevin was working on the OpenID module, OpenID Connect module, is doing some feature that lets us use a central repository for all these tokens, and we can extend that to being able to use any service from a tenant any service in a tenant from another tenant, meaning you can have dependencies between tenants. One of the goals, for instance, let's say user management, you could have the user management being handled by a single tenant, and the communication will be using the services from the other tenants, and that will allow all the tenants to share the same list of users. You will just use one tenant to manage the users, and the other tenants will share the same service across tenants. So that's very powerful, and we can imagine lots of new ways to do things with that. But the issue is that because these services are shared across tenants, if the tenant who owns the service has to be restarted, then all the other tenants should also be restarted because they might depend on a service from a different service container. So we also need to reload this service container. So this feature is implementing a way to define dependencies between tenants. So when you are in a tenant and some module is running, you can say, oh, I will try to resolve the service from the tenant that is configured in the settings. So by the way, let's add a dependency on this tenant so that the first tenant is released when the second tenant is also released. And this is what it's doing. I sent a PR, but I found the flow, which I will fix very soon. And that's the idea of this thing. Something else, okay, questions about it before I switch topics? Nothing, good. Something else is that we saw him and he's here, Matthias, has been working on the admin theme and he's published some screenshots and some GIFs. I don't know what you can see because it's moving and I'm sharing the screen, about what it looks like with this branch, changing the CSS of the admin theme. So I didn't get, Matthias, if you just changed the CSS or you changed also some views, and if this CSS is from an external product or if you just took inspiration from it. All right, a lot of views. Okay, so that's a different theme. Core UI.
He shared the link. There is a free version in HTML.
Yeah, I see here the Core UI and Core UI Pro, so I assume that's it. So do we have to rely on a different theme template or dashboard template to be able to have something that looks like that? Because we are also using Bootstrap 4. This is the same architecture with the menu on the left and the content on the right. Does it require full template like this to have the same behavior? Or is just that this template is nice when you take the Pro version and you have all the components here that you don't have to implement? Because in this case, Bootstrap 4 components, we have them. Free access to updates, we also have them. SCSS source files, we have them. What we don't have is chart and pace. I don't know what it is, but I assume we don't use them. So if we just care about how it looks like, what can we get it to look like this without depending on Core UI? If we can have a standard tagging and change the CSS to look like this, that means anyone can change the CSS to look like anything else they want without having to change the tagging. Yeah, even if it's defining a custom set of CSS. Okay. But in this case, I don't see that much changes compared to what we have in terms of UI. If the tagging needs to change, that I'm fine with that. We just need to define the components that we can use in HTML to render stuff, as long as we can then override the CSS to change the colors, the size, and everything. But everything here I see is, I think, the same as what we have. Maybe there are some containers on top of that, but that can be added. Yeah, you didn't use it because there is the module that uses it, so we'll have to change some views to use it if it was there. My main question is more about, do we need a dependency on this theme to be able to provide an admin theme? And then have all the views change for this external theme? That's the idea. So if we can have some generic HTML in all the views that is easier to theme, I prefer to do that. And than reusing an external theme like this. Because we've seen in Orchard 1 that it requires so much work to adapt everything to a specific theme that it never shipped. So I assume we'll talk about it on Gitter when I have more time and more people are listening and can give feedback. Questions? Questions, topics. What else? So I'm working on this branch, Chantier and background. There are some PRs going on. Probably applied the merge because of feedback rule that we applied on Orchard 1. So I worked on the workflow branch last week. Since then I didn't do much change. What we have, dynamic cache, there is still a don't merge from Chris, so I will see with him. Oh, did some checkboxes. What is that? Sort out features, what should we wear? Okay. Remove changes to use for testing. Okay, so cleaning things. The one here, Antoine, I still haven't looked at it. We might just merge it unless there are other issues.
and I uninstalled this preview, and it's working again.
Oh, but you need to install a preview.
No, because I tried Blazor, so I needed it. And,
okay, but it works even with that. That's what you say.
Yeah.
Okay, I will try that then for merging. Let me cache, OpenID Connect client, I'm reviewing it. No, this is not the one. What is this one? We haven't reviewed it. Oh, that's a change. I see. This one, I'm reviewing it, and that's why I'm doing the other branch, because it will depend on that. And the rest, that's okay. Workflow, because I haven't looked at it for a week, we might merge it. Otherwise, it will be stale. Yeah, I'll just look at some things in the engine to be sure it works as expected, but that should be okay. That's it. End comments? Nothing? Okay, no demos, no topics. That makes the meeting quicker. Done then. See you next week. Thanks everyone. Bye.